Which I should probably mute that for a moment. Or is it gonna play ads? Or is it not? Ah, I knew it was gonna try to play ads on me. Haha! Don't do that. Why is it so loading? Come on. Please work. Please, please, please. Picky thing. I'll give it a few moments. But yeah, it's still Monday. Might as well reflect on this week with mental health. Because what was it? Oh yeah, might help if I actually pull up the page. To improve your self-awareness. I started to look at this and see if I could reflect on it, though I do know based on what I wrote already for 1, 2, 3 of the questions, kind of went on a tangent, but maybe kind of ponder on the question a bit more, because I know I looked at it in a negative aspect, even though I could have just looked at it plain and simple and analyzed it logically. But it was an emotional moment. Did I even take my mic off? Oh, I did. Thankfully, I wasn't a dingus today. But I can put the music back on. Hopefully it wants to play. Yeah, I can hear you. Cool. But, what was it? Essentially, 20 questions to improve your self-awareness. Which, I mean, you can have awareness to so many different things. I mean, what is it? The phrase. Don't throw stones if you... Something about the glass house. Don't throw stones if you live in a glass house. Basically, kind of just reflect on yourself. Obviously, self-awareness. Let's see. What did it start with? What am I good at? And the problem was the question did not even define what it means of what I'm good at. Because what was it? I started reflecting on that, and the very first thing I put was managing stress in private. Very specific, and now I'm thinking about it. I was looking at that from... what was it? Managing stress in private. I was looking at that from not showing panic when there's chaos going on, or just basically stepping away and then showing the panic, which is good and bad. Good that I'm not stressing another person out, that I'm able to keep a straight face in the presence of it, and then I can go and exert the emotions at the earliest convenience. Which, yeah, it does need to be worked on, because doing everything in private can be troubling. I mean, that's why therapy can be a good thing in... what is it? I mean, there's a lot of different capacities you can do therapy. Definitely good that you can do some self-therapy. That way you can work through some of the stress, and then you can reconfigure or unjumble the confusion in your head. Well, I mean, there's certain different stresses to deal in private, because in the past I dealt with stress privately that should have been discussed openly, such as bad relationships. That could have been something I could have spoke a little bit more openly about instead of managing it in private. Which, again, good and bad. Some things you need to work with only your partners with. That way the both of you, the pair of you, the multiple of you, however many it is, can solve it and have a resolution. Because then the problem on the other side is if you openly deal with the stress with other people and you bring them in, they get a different perspective. And if you don't make a resolution publicly, it looks like it never got resolved. Makes things awkward, makes things confusing. Because that's something another couple nearby me does now, but then I'll hear about the resolution like weeks later, and it's just, it befuddles me how they're functioning. But I guess they're dealing with all their stuff in private, and it's not re-entering the conversation, so hopefully that means it's a good thing. And again, I'm very close to that pair, so it does pop in my head. Let's see, what else did I put? In being good, like, I'm just thinking of what I could kind of not grade myself, but what I could kind of pat myself on the back for doing, such as, I don't know why I put this down. Following my mail and my receipts. I mean, I guess because I've always been very good about changing my address, getting all of my paperwork in order, and definitely if I go out anywhere, I get my receipts so I know where I spent my money. I mean, half of that is because since, what is it? Pretty sure at this point I've had maybe 5 different instances where someone has stolen money from me, both in physical and in digital form. I mean, it sucked when someone frauded and conned me online, and definitely be, a scammer. That sucks, but really, the physical in-person stealing of my money was a pretty big problem for so many different levels. I mean, for the fact of the audacity. So definitely, I feel like I'm good at that. Following my receipts, making sure I know exactly what happened and where everything is in my accounts. For some reason, I put voicing politely on phone calls. But then again, that should be a good thing, because I used to get people who believed I was a robot on the phone. They would instantly get annoyed and think a telemarketer or a voice recording was talking to them. Or they would sound very confused and be like, oh, I didn't realize I was talking to a person. Because I haven't had anyone mention that line to me in a while. I've just had more people say like, oh, you sound so nice on the phone. Which is a nice little compliment and kind of an ego boost. I don't know. Since I'm on the phone a lot, it's nice to know that I'm not a grating voice to listen to. What was it? Apparently I defined good as decent, fair, not perfect or spectacular, but not horrid or useless. Which some of the words I use to define good are pretty harsh. Because just to be good at something is... like, take drawing for instance. You can be good at drawing and not be a professional. You don't have to make manga, you don't have to make canvas art, you don't have to make like quilted artwork. You can be good because maybe you've practiced, maybe you've have a passion for it, or you have a lot of story behind what doodles you've created. Like, do I even have any doodles in this? No, I don't. But I've become better at drawing. Maybe I'm not great. Pretty decent at it. What else have I thought I was good at? And what would you even define being good at something? That's what's troubling me about this question to reflect. Because, like right now, am I good at streaming? Maybe not, but my sounds are good, I have decent lighting, I have a aesthetic background, I have a well-off mic. So I mean, in those aspects, maybe I'm good. But am I entertaining? Am I networking? Probably not. Oh well. Huh. Apparently I put helping out when it becomes busy at the store, which is a confusing thing to put down for good, because that same line has been used kind of a backhanded compliment to me as well. I mean, yeah, being a helper and being in everyone's business is great, but it might even be, I'm not a master of my trade, but I'm just a jack of all trades. I'm kind of like decent at multiple different things. That might be where I am right now in my job, which then begs the question of, would I be better at another job? Even though I've been at this one so long and I feel very competent. say I was bad at? I mean, there's the obvious things you can say what you're bad at, like if you're not a doctor, to say I'm bad at surgery. That's a pretty easy thing to assess since you have not had the training and expertise and the skill set to do such a performance. But then, how do you label it? Because what if you suddenly have to do heart surgery on somebody and you have just like nothing but your bare hands to do it and you actually save the person? Would you still be classified as bad or good? Context is probably the biggest thing this question is looking for as well. And even since it is pretty open-ended, you can doubt yourself and question yourself on what you actually are good on, and you can feel like maybe you're being too cocky about your skills or you're underselling yourself. Then again, it might be helpful if you ask several people this question too and see what their answer is. That way you could get a good ballpark estimate of what you're good at from others' perspective. That way you can get some kind of idea of maybe you are decent at things. Because, like, knitting. Knitting is something I know I'm so at. But I'm not bad at it because I've picked it up. I have experienced it. I have made something that resembles a scarf, but not quite a scarf. So, not great, not bad, so-so. And
do it in the streets.
So-so doesn't feel
Do it at home.
too wild. It kind of is like, yeah, I can give you the basic understanding of what it means, but could I tell you exactly the schematics of making a knitted shawl? No, that would be rocket science. And apparently I put in the so-so category sleeping on time, which I understand why that is in the so-so category. It used to be better because I had so many scheduled, demanding plans in place that it was essential that I went to sleep at a certain time and then wake up at a certain time, or else the rest of the day would just cascade into disaster. Now, there's pretty much a big window of when I can or have to sleep, because by the time I actually am like needed to be at some place, I give myself a big window to get ready, get there, and not stress about it as much, which is something that sucks that my early school years, I put so much stress into being absolutely 100% on time and early, while now I'm pretty okay with the fact of just being on time, that I don't need to be overzealous, which if my old self could hear of that, they would just be writhing around. But again, who knows how long I'm going to live in life, but I shouldn't really be freaking stressing about how much time I'm spending planning on scheduled events when I can just wing it within a certain degree of time. Like, if I know I need to be somewhere by 4 p.m., I should really just make sure that other half, the afternoon part of the day, is nothing too strenuous. Just make sure I can keep an eye on the clock and then be ready within that hour, and I would be good to go. And then what was the next question? What makes me tired? Which, do they mean emotionally tired, physically tired, mentally tired, emotionally, did I already say mentally, physically, spiritually? There's probably another tired that you could use. I mean, of course, being in a loud and daunting situation would make me tired very quickly, given the amount of times I would need to just process all the things sensory, basically with your senses, that kind of stuff. I mean, driving is not that stressful, I think. Then again, driving has really never been stressful for me. That's one weird thing. Even though I learned to drive, I didn't have a fear of it. But then again, I've never been in an accident, so I guess I'm just don't feel that constant worry when being in a metal death trap. Me? Because I just remember my sister being constantly worried when driving. And one of my newest roommates is constantly worried about it, and I can't see why, but then again, that's from an empathetic point of view. If I was being compassionate, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, they could get injured, they could get hurt, they could die, they could be brain dead. Accidents can happen. From that perspective, that makes sense. There's a problem there. Because maybe they had an accident, or, well, my sister did have an accident, so that makes legitimate sense why she's terrified to drive. Okay. And that was a big old tangent, but on the what makes me tired. Well, if I get anxious enough, that would make me pretty tired. Because, I mean, it takes a lot of energy to spiral. Though, I really have not been tired in a long time, because, what was it? Really, the past 2 years was a roller coaster of emotions. So, everything's pretty much evened out. So I'm just kind of like sitting back drinking like a pina colada on vacation kind of feeling after watching the like hellfire that life brought me for so long. Yeah, pretty much right now it does feel like a vacation in the grand scheme of everything that's occurred in the past. Which is a little wild because life right now is still crazy, but a different crazy. Meh. Let's see. Whoa, let me not kick the whole thing into Kingdom Come. Ooh. I think that's where I got stuck at. Oh yeah, because question 5. What is the most important thing in my life? Because it says thing. What do they mean? I mean, the next question asks about people, so obviously question 5 does not pertain to human life or companionship. Unless it could talk about values and morals and principles. But what would be the most important thing in my life? Life is an adventure. It is. That's something I've kind of kept at the back burner, but having an experience, having a journey, having some kind of quest to see through to the end would be pretty important in my life. Because, I mean, I don't see a job or a career being my important thing. It would help sustain whatever is important, but I don't see where that would be at the heart of my life. I don't see, I mean, monetary? Though, would that fall into place the same question? Well, no, because monetary wouldn't really work in that perspective, because the most important thing in life, I mean, experiencing life, existing in life, being able to change it, whether for good or bad or for equilibrium, there's options out there. I don't know exactly how to answer question 5, besides having an adventure with it, whether it's a small NPC quest or a grand dragon fighting exploration of the world, which does actually sound pretty fun. But we got something going with that. Let me put that down for question 5. Adventure. Let's see. Who are the most important people in my life? Who would be the most important people in my life? Well, clearly, my family. My closely related family, and technically my extended family friends would be considered the most important people in my life. Yeah, I mean, I have my acquaintances, I have my co-workers. Definitely a few have come into my life very closely since I decided to word vomit a lot of things, but it helped. And it opened up a dialogue for us to see a different perspective. But yeah, question 6 was pretty easy because I have weeded out the toxic, the bad, the horrid people who I thought were important, but definitely were not. They were freaking leeches. How about 7? How much sleep do you need? I mean, with the whole balancing act of when you actually need to sleep and when should you sleep, it's pretty much get the basic minimum out. That way you're not struggling. But if you can't get the basic minimum, take the breaks that you need in order to recover so you can get the minimum sleep in. And if you can splurge and have a few more minutes or hours in, take it. I mean, that was a wonderful thing as a kid. You could sleep whenever and just wake up and feel refreshed. Because then once you get older and then you get stuck into a job or you get stuck into a cycle of certain scheduling, you may not get to actually appreciate or get to spend that sleep hour, which is for multiple reasons. I mean, my gosh, if you don't have a home or you're in an unstable home, sleep would be very questionable. Number 8, what stresses me out? Well, I mean, what stresses me out? I mean, it would kind of dip into the whole what makes me tired, because what stresses is definitely violence. Oh, definitely violence. Bullshit. Yelling has not done as much damage to me as of recently, so that is a nice plus. It doesn't tire me out and it doesn't stress me out as much as it did before. Before, it would tap out all of my reserves. It would leave me feeling crumbly. Now, it kind of dulls me, but it doesn't break me as it did before. And what relaxes me, I mean, pretty top of the list is silence, nature, a bath, and music that makes you contemplate. Those would be the biggest things, especially if you could mix them all together. You could have a absolutely mind-blowing experience just to sit in your mind and melt into the sauce. My definition of success. What would you consider the definition of success? I mean, I guess with success, I've gone through several different successes in life. Successfully lived. I mean, that's a pretty big one for multiple different reasons. Success in keeping a job, staying with a job, keeping a bank account, keeping not burning bridges. Burning bridges, I mean, both ways of not losing certain people and cutting out people. Definitely success. I mean, you can't see it, but with all the chaos that went on in life before, that I successfully went through school and actually managed pretty well. That is something I kind of have to actually reflect back on and realize I was swimming in some crazy acid-filled life and I still freaking pursued it, even though it was hell. Which I didn't have to pursue it that way. I could have picked another option, but it is a good thing that I did try and succeeded. What type of worker? What type of worker am I? I literally just said I'm a helper. I am freaking a helper. I will help. I have freaking gotten to the floor and tied my friend's shoes for them. And I did not think twice. I was just like, oh, let me help you. Which could be a problem too, to do that for someone, because they could enable that action or they could use you. Thankfully, the friends that I did that for didn't. They were pretty chill. Though I have disconnected from them just because time and my own personal things, but I would reconnect with them at some point. But the type of worker I am, I'm definitely a helper. I want to assist. How do I want others to see me? I mean, put together would be a biggest thing. Would that be the easiest way to explain it? Yeah. Being able to seem like I have my shit together. Because really, I don't care to be seen as cool, because I know I do dumb things. I know I can full body laugh and fall on the floor, and that's entertaining. I know I can spend 10 hours playing a freaking video game just to farm vegetables, and that's fine. If I'm seen as a NEET, if I'm seen as homebody, or seen as someone who maybe excessively parties, it is what it is. as long as I'm not seen as something damaging or toxic, which, depending on whose perspective and what words and what context, I can't please everybody. So to someone I may be bad, to someone I may be not right, and we can't win them all. We can definitely try to be respectful of everyone and be polite, but be real. We can only do so much before it is in the other's hands to see us. Why is he asking me what makes me sad? I thought he already asked me that. I guess it... Did it already ask me that? Oh, I guess it didn't ask me what was sad. I just already assumed it asked me. Not existing would be sad. I've come to terms with that. Just being deleted out would make me sad because it's a unknown factor. Being sad that I can't be helpful or I failed to help. Being used would make me pretty sad. What makes me happy? Good voices make me happy. I know that's something I have noticed for quite a while in my life, especially with school and with just music. Certain sounds are just very pleasant to hear over and over again. I guess having a good challenge that rewards you with something light and warm-hearted makes me happy. What would make me angry? Well, clearly bad people. Reckless. Well, reckless behavior is a little too general. I mean, reckless behavior that knows about the consequences and still goes through with it would be pretty angry. Wasted time, lack of efficiency makes me mad. Yeah? I don't know what else to think on that. What type of person do I want to be? So instead of what I want others to see me as, what kind of person I would be? Well, a reliable person, a dependable person, maybe a funny person, though you can't really put yourself in funny because everyone's humor is a bit different. Maybe someone whose humor is understandable or can translate well, because there's plenty of people who have good humor, but if they're unable to execute it well or find a good timing, it can come out very rude and cold or even unfeeling. What type of friend do I want to be? I know I've dropped the ball on that several times. Though I keep trying to figure out where I need to go back on that, because the type of friend I want to be falls into the type of person I want to be. Reliable, dependable, the shoulder of lean of support. I mean, maybe I'm not the party girl, maybe I'm not the extroverted person, maybe I'm not the one who can show up in person all the time, but I would like to be the one that you can feel safe with. That would be nice. That would be nice. What do I think about myself? I mean, I have improved. Because I'm looking and reflecting from this current moment to really the past decade, and just to see some things have, how I see it, some things have rotted in me, some things have regrown, some things have morphed, some things have been realized or unrealized. I mean, naiveness is a big thing that comes and goes, but for the most part, if there's naiveness now, it's to relive something, but it's not truly there anymore to be naive. It's just can't cover up the truth. It's there, you see it, you can't unwash it. It's there to stay, which is a good thing, because there's a lot of emotion tied to that, because it makes you a little annoyed that so much stuff was not discussed openly or was not readily made available or suggested to you when you could have been experienced to it earlier and realize the trouble instead of having to experience it firsthand. But some things that have morphed, definitely how I deal with stress, how I communicate, how I study, what I should be caring about, what I should not worry so heavily on, where to throw the burden out. What things do I value in life? Well, because what was it? This was kind of, because you have to think of it in like vitals, because at the very top would be honesty. You can't be honest, you can't be real, you can't be 100% transparent, and you're going to deceive, mislead, hide, and be conniving in the background, or provide false information, or even withheld it. It makes the whole conversation not believable anymore. It makes the whole relationship kind of fold on itself. It brings into too many questions of what else is there. Dependability, I mean, I brought that up a huge amount of time, because knowing someone's got your back, knowing you're not gonna hit the floor, or knowing you are safe and that you can express and rely upon someone else is a really big factor in life. I mean, in so many fashions, at your work, in your creative outlets, in your home, in your cooking, in your driving, in your speech. It goes on and on. And positivity, definitely it helps. I see positivity can give a lot of cheer. Even though someone may want you to be absolutely 100% honest, sometimes the positivity just gives it a little brightness that would otherwise kind of throw everything into a negative aspect. Because as long as the positivity is not false, it's okay. But if it is just sugarcoating a pile of shit, you probably shouldn't say it. If you're sugarcoating a pile of lemonade, I don't know why a lemonade would be in a pile, but just the difference. And what makes me afraid? Well, It goes back to the whole non-existence, pondering what if situations, failure, and not being helpful, kind of like dropping the ball. A lot of those things. Well, I think this is a good place to stop. That way I can come back to this in a week or two and reflect on it again and see if my answers have changed, and that way you can reflect on it too. Because, let's see, I'm pretty sure I can bring this up. Because where is it? That way you can look on it.